King Kong is good, it's better than good. It might be the biggest milestone in Hollywood history. It was the absolute biggest film at its release, a film that couldn't have been on the stage. In a time of mass poverty, Kong smashed the box office, single-handedly saving RKO from bankruptcy. Combining genres in such a masterful way, creating what could be the first blockbuster film and what would later become the epitome of Hollywood filmmaking. Even earning a spot in the Library of Congress for being so culturally significant. A pioneer of every trick in the book. Having what would become the first full original score by Max Steiner, which blew crowds away with its booming and iconic Kong theme. And sound effects by Murray Spivak, who revolutionized sound design in film. During 1933, creating and producing sound effects was difficult without losing audio fidelity. Murray found ways to create new sounds without having to re-record audio, relying on reversing, slowing, and changing the pitch of sounds he recorded. A tiger roar backwards with a lion roar forwards became Kong's infamous snarl. And Kong would have been impossible to capture without a combination of technologies. Rear projection, animatronics, miniatures, glass paintings, matte paintings, and compositing tricks to place them all together. Not to mention the biggest of them all, the main special effect, stop motion animation. While not the first film to use the technique, it was the one that showed us the full potential of the process. Kong iconicized it, turning a special effect into the world's biggest movie star. Willis O'Brien's previous work on The Lost World and Creation showed the director Merian C. Cooper the blueprint to realize his magnum opus. But to sell it to the studio they needed something big, a monstrous battle, an Allosaurus versus Kong, one of the standout scenes in the whole film. It was so difficult to capture with up to 150 hours needed to make 1 minute of stop motion footage. Merian had to act out every shot. The two's past experience with boxing and wrestling was a great help with the choreography, keeping the fantastical scenes grounded as if they were a documentary. The shoot took around 7 weeks to complete, but when RKO saw the shots, they greenlit the film with a large budget. This is all thanks to Willis O'Brien's work. He changed film forever. Stop motion became the way to create prehistoric giants, so much so it inspired a new generation of creatives and special effects artists. Not to mention one in particular, Ray Harryhausen. Harryhausen was even able to intern with O'Brien in his youth, on one of the only films the original creators have made since, that came close to recapturing Kong, Mighty Joe Young. Ray would go on to be one of the biggest stop-motion creators known today, all thanks to the inspiration of Kong. Without that film he wouldn't even have a career, as it popularized the giant monster genre worldwide. Especially in Japan, where several unofficial King Kong films were made in the 30s. Although these prints were lost to time, the designer on King Kong of Edo went on to create the costume for the iconic Japanese monster, Godzilla, and its director were the offspring of King Kong, to the point where the original script dictated that Godzilla be stop motion, until the budget couldn't cover it and they needed to find something else. Many years later, they would eventually fight in their own film, Godzilla vs. King Kong, which at the time was the most successful Godzilla film. Toei were even able to make their own original King Kong film, King Kong Escapes, to varying degrees of quality. While Kong has been adapted, ripped off, remade in different eras of filmmaking, it was never as impactful as the original. The problem being with Kong is it's the story of Merian Cooper and his team. A lot of these films take the bigger and better than the original mentality to the excess in all manners, but they lack the foundation which came from the original creators. The film was part of them, half autobiographical and half passion project, which is what made it such a lightning in the bottle film. Cooper's life story and aspirations are this film, from a young age reading the adventures of equatorial Africa, to his time as a war pilot, the horrors he saw in prison camps, and his documentary filmmaking with Ernest B. Schoedsack. Capturing his sense of adventure and bravado, in a lot of ways he was Denham, which makes his co-director Jack. The duo worked together on every film since their first. On Kong, Ernest directed most of the cast while Cooper worked with the special effects team. Their teamwork preserved on what was a notoriously difficult shoot. This team wouldn't be complete without Schoedsack's wife, Rose, who was responsible for the script. Through the production it went through several revisions. Cooper wasn't satisfied until Rose tightened it up. She created most of the characters, who would resemble Cooper, her and Ernest. and worked on some of the snappiest dialogue the 30s have ever heard.
Hey, Charlie, I wish you'd make your soup as thick as this.
You think I'm gonna fall for any dame?
I never knew it to fail. Some big, hard-boiled egg gets a look at a pretty face and bang, he cracks up and goes sappy.
But also the script is very much a product of its time.
I guess I love you.
Why, Jack, you hate women.
Yeah, I know.
Some of these scenes were semi-autobiographic. In the past, critics had told Cooper his films needed more romance. Though I don't imagine they were thinking about a giant ape when they said that. All these human elements make the story more believable, not to mention the work of O'Brien, who was invaluable to the production. While remakes like Peter Jackson's King Kong were a technical achievement for their time, their thrills are more amusement park than they are eighth wonder of the world. As years have gone past, the overt use of CGI has become more pedestrian, and as sharp as the CGI gets, it's still a flat image, which the original King Kong was not. While the motion capture gives the capacity for an emotive performance, it comes off as more human than ape. I will always be on Cooper's side when he expressed Kong should be more ape than man. It hinders what made it so impactful in the original Kong. With him lacking human comprehension, not only is it scarier to the audience, but it's also more sympathetic in the end. Kong was a beast, but he had a heart, and he became a monster people cared about. For those who've only watched the latest remake of King Kong, I would implore you to watch the original. It's a romantic adventure, horror, science fiction, political film. It leaves rooms for various interpretations, if it's about capitalism, imperialism, filmmaking, or a giant ape to you. Whatever it is, it's a timeless classic, and I say that with a certainty. I watched the film on the big screen not yesterday, with a crowd of old and new faces, and it's still leaving magical impressions on people, 84 years later, which makes Kong still king to me.